That she's obviously not listening to her constituents at all, because the people that were at Jefferson College were obviously opposed to this by a clear majority, and she had specific things she said she was going to.
I would disagree with you on that, and I'll tell you why. Were you at Jefferson College?
Yes, I was.
All right. One thing we do learn how to do, and I've learned over the years, is counting the crowd, okay? And when you hear people applauding for Claire and the point she made, and people the other way, in the very beginning, it was at least equal, if not more people applauding for Claire. But what happens is average citizens do not like confrontation. And so the more louder the group, and at one point at Jefferson College, she said to the people, the more you boo, the more you take up time, it's taking time away from when I can answer questions. And at Forest Park, the people were quite boisterous. They were they were cutting in on other people. Average citizens don't like that. So what happens is the meeting bears on, fewer and fewer people applaud for points that Claire makes that they like because they don't like the confrontation.
Well, if that's the situation, then why were there so many people online, in line to voice opposition? I did not see that many people. Well, I guess, they took the opposition first, but there were just tons of people. Not everyone can even speak.
At Forest Park?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, because number one, at Forest Park, that happened because the people came here first. We were not in the office. There were like one or two people here, too few to have that big a group. The group was hitting on the windows, hitting on the back door.
That's not true.
And police came and dispersed the crowd.
That's true.
And
nobody hit on any windows.
I was not here, but that's what and I don't think our people are liars.
I do.
And so
I was one of those protesters.
But there again, and somebody was hitting on the back door, people got nervous. And so the police came. The point I'm trying to make is Michelle Sherrod, who conducted the meeting at Forest Park, called Mr. Bearden, who was like the leader of the group, former state representative from St. Charles, and said, we will meet with you. We don't have enough room in our office to meet with a group, but let's set up a place like Forest Park. And then too many people came for the upstairs room. We adjourned down to the downstairs room. And Michelle stood there the whole time and answered questions and took the questions. So clearly the meeting was set up for the group who was opposed to health care reform. A lot of people didn't even know about the meeting who came, and people who were in support of health care reform. So that meeting is not a very good median or a judge for who's for and who's against.
What about every poll?
But there again,
You have read the polls. The majority of the polls put the people
sure.
against this healthcare plan. They would rather do nothing and keep what they have right now. And I think the majority of those people would want more time to look into this
well, but you
legislation.
can't answer that. I mean, you can't say the majority. You can't say the majority of the American people. You're going by polls, and polls can be skewed. And
So you're saying that on behalf of the Democrats,
no.
their polls could be skewed also?
I'm saying any poll can be skewed.
Every poll is skewed, though?
I didn't say that.
No, I'm just saying every poll has shown that the majority is against it. There hasn't been one that showed that the majority is for it.
Quite frankly, in answering the phones, which I answer the phones a lot of people are misinformed of what's in the bill and what's not in the bill.
And
what's
again,
going to
another
happen.
reason for us to give more time to look into the
Okay.
legislation.
Well, I will
Mr.
certainly
Burns,
pass
you
on
can, you can spin it all you want, but I was at that meeting
And that goes both ways.
in Jefferson College, and that was not the crowd that was in favor of Claire McCaskill's position on healthcare. The people in front of us, I sat in the middle, were HCAN people, you had your SEIU people there. The average citizen was there. The majority of the crowd were against this healthcare proposal. And, I don't know where your scientific studies show, but that's the thing. And the people in Missouri are against this. I cannot find anybody that's for this plan, other than the unions who are getting their inadequate welfare plans funded by the federal government. This whole situation is they're taking money from the people that are producing in this country and buying the votes of the people that want more government stuff, and they're pitting two groups against each other. And it's sad. It's not what this country was founded on. This is a great country, and we're becoming Europe.
And you could tell by the questions that those were all pulled at random. The questions that were being pulled out of the basket and asked were not questions where people were for the legislation. They were questions as to why you're doing this, and this is obviously, we don't want that. So
think
I would say, again, you can spin it, but there was no
Well,
clear
I think-
majority was
yeah.
What
opposed to
do you
this
think?
legislation.
overshadows that, sir, and I was at that meeting too, town hall meeting. You can do your own analysis of who were for and who were against. But McCaskill asked a question, okay? And I don't know if it was rhetorical. She asked a question, "You don't trust me?" And I was in the audience when everybody got up off their seats and said, "No," a resounding no. Now, to me, that overshadows any personal polls or where you thought the sentiment in at that meeting was.